Welcome to an introduction to the Memory Lab at MCPL. This is part of a series of videos about the Memory Lab covering the lab policies, how to prepare for your appointment, and what to do with your digitized files when you're finished. So, what exactly is a Memory Lab? It is rooted in the premise that our personal and community memories were captured on degradable media. Memory Labs provide the equipment and knowledge to help everyone preserve those memories. But the type of equipment may vary based on the needs of the community and the budget of the library. The Memory Lab Network is a project founded by the DC Public Library and funded by an IMLS, or Institute of Museum and Library Services grant, that helped develop 16 memory labs across the country. The MLN's framework breaks down the Memory Lab into 3 interconnected parts: the physical space, the online resource, and the public programming. The Memory Lab at MCPL is free to use for all members of the public, even without a library card. It has equipment for digitizing, converting, and transferring various materials. The physical space of our lab has evolved over time and is now 2 stations in a designated space here at the Midwest Genealogy Center. In addition, we have a dedicated page on the MGC website to share information about the lab, book appointments, and provide access to our online resources. Among those resources are details about how to prepare for your appointment, instructional guides for the equipment, links to external resources, and some frequently asked questions. For programming, we offer classes to help educate the public on a variety of digitization and archiving topics. We hope to explore new ways to work with community partners, like our recent Community Archiving Day at the Inglewood Theater in May of 2025, to expand access to digitization equipment and know-how. Our lab was initially created with the help of an IMLS grant and was developed at the Story Center located at the Woodneath branch. The Story Center team, with a dedicated intern and IT staff member, tested equipment and processes, established the policies, and soft-launched the lab with a small group of members of the public. The lab has been at MGC since September of 2023. There are 2 stations, one with a Mac computer and audio-visual equipment, and another with a Windows computer and the scanning equipment. The Memory Lab at MCPL is compatible with VHS, SVHS, and VHS-C tapes, audio cassettes, and 8mm and Super 8 film reels in the audio-visual station. And in the scanning station, you can do photos, slides, negatives, documents, and 3.5-inch floppy disks. We hope to expand these options soon to include additional formats, so keep an eye on our website and Facebook page for future announcements. Customers can book their appointment online using the MGC website. Appointments are 3-hour time slots, and walk-ins are allowed but often discouraged since we cannot guarantee the lab will be available at your desired time. Monday through Saturday, there are 3 time slots for each station, starting at 10 a.m., 1:30 p.m., and 4:30 p.m. On Sundays, there are 2 time slots, one at 1 p.m. and another at 4 p.m. Multiple appointments can be booked consecutively, but not simultaneously. This means you can book the 10 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. time slots for the scanning station, for example, but you could not make simultaneous appointments for the scanning station and audiovisual station in that 10 a.m. time slot. There are a few things we recommend all Memory Lab users do before their appointment to make sure you're prepared. First, identify the materials you want to digitize. This helps you have a better understanding of what materials you have, which items you may not want to digitize for a variety of reasons, and plan out a bite-sized or manageable amount of work for your appointment. You'll also need to prepare your materials by removing items like staples, paper clips, sticky notes, and more. Be sure to clean any dust or adhesive from photos and materials with magnetic tape or film, like VHS tapes or 8mm film reels. And lastly, make sure you've obtained your preferred storage device and format it if needed. While MGC staff will inspect your materials on the day of your appointment, we recommend that customers also inspect them as well. To do this, you need to do 3 things: smell, look, and feel. You are checking for any potent smells, for example, a strong smell of mildew, mothballs, vinegar, or wax, or even dirty socks. Any materials with a pungent odor are not eligible for digitization in the memory lab. You're looking and feeling for signs of mold and water damage, torn photos or documents, or damaged plastic tape cases. If there is mold present on the materials or containers, those items are not eligible for digitization in the lab. Some special issues to look for include sticky shed syndrome, which may happen with magnetic tapes like VHS tapes or audio cassettes when the binding on the tape starts breaking down. It often smells waxy, or you may see crystalline deposits on the tape. There's also vinegar syndrome, which affects film when it starts to degenerate, and you can smell vinegar. Another thing is nitrate film. Now, this often comes in formats that are incompatible with the lab, and it smells like mothballs, and also is highly flammable. There are a few options when selecting your storage solution. You can go with a physical drive, like a USB flash drive, an external hard drive, or SD card, which are portable and convenient, but it is a physical item, and you will need to consider how to take care of it long term. Another option is to use cloud or online storage, like Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive, or iCloud. Each has their pros and cons, may have subscription fees, and you'll have to consider which works best for you. If using a drive with a USB connection, consider getting one with a USB 3.0 rather than 2.0 to facilitate faster saving and transfer speeds. If you're using an external hard drive, you may have to consider whether and how to format it. By default, it may not be compatible with a Mac computer, like the one at our audiovisual station. Formatting can make it compatible with both Apple and Windows computers, but will erase anything already saved to the drive. Instead, you could use a combination of a flash drive, which is compatible with both systems, used at the station to capture your work during your appointment, and an external hard drive you keep at home, to which you transfer your files after each session. You may be wondering how much space you'll need. Well, that depends on the format, file type, and quantity of work you're doing in the memory lab, but bigger is usually better. We recommend at least 16 gigabytes for a flash drive to use at the memory lab. It is also a good idea to have a larger external hard drive that stays at home, where you store all your digitized files. 1 terabyte will likely be sufficient for the average person, but you can always go bigger. Here's a chart that displays storage devices with various capacities and how many files can fit on each. This is on average and may vary if you are working with higher resolution image or video files or longer audio files. To give you an idea of how using the lab works, I'll walk you through the process. Customers check in at the front desk and sign a release form that is also available on the website to read in advance. Staff will inspect your materials for damage or contamination. During your appointment, staff can provide general assistance and troubleshoot most tech problems, but ultimately the lab is a DIY service. The time required to digitize varies by format. VHS tapes and audio cassettes are captured in real time, meaning if you have a 30-minute long video, it will take 30 minutes to capture it. You will need to compress that video file, which may take longer for a long video file. For formats like photos or slides, some equipment automates the process, scanning dozens of items in a matter of minutes. Budget enough time to complete the full digitization process and transfer your files to your storage device. When finished, customers must check out at the front desk, where they can complete an evaluation. Memory labs operate on the premise that personal archiving is important. The first 2 reasons for that are practical ones. Fragile paper and magnetic materials will continue to degrade even with ideal storage conditions. Without digitization, these materials are at risk of being lost forever due to media failure or lack of playback equipment or due to a natural disaster. Digitization saves space, makes materials more accessible, usable, and easier to organize. Beyond this, personal archiving and digital preservation has a social, emotional, and psychological impact. Preservation of personal, family, and community materials helps us tell our stories. Documents, photos, and recordings that we or our ancestors produce are part of a larger legacy, our cultural history. Digitization helps pass along our history to future generations. And it enables communities that have been historically underrepresented in or ignored by conventional archival work to find representational belonging. They are empowered to take the work of preserving and archiving their history into their own hands. Thank you for watching. Explore our other videos about the Memory Lab at MCPL to learn more, or visit the lab online at www.midwestgenealogycenter.org. You can reach out to the Midwest Genealogy Center via email at mgc@mymcpl.org with questions about the lab or genealogy research assistance.